Lance Corporal Bernardi, if you would, please place the wreath. Attention! On behalf of our departed brothers and sisters, we'll now sound taps. Present arms. Order, arms. Forward, hunt.
See if I know how to do this.
Always good to see yourself. People with your short legs should be going past. All right.
Left, right, left. Left, right, left. Left, 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 right, left. Present arms.
On behalf of our brothers and sisters who have gone before us, we will now sound taps.
Order arms.
Forward. Ha.
Left, 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 right, left. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, I think you put you in the wolf.
Detail, halt. Halt, arms. Pug raid, rest.
We have one of the older vets. Look amongst yourselves and pick out who's the oldest. And if they could present the wreath.
Detail, time, cut.
Okay.
Arms.
Present arms. Taps. Order. Mark. Okay, the whole contingent just can come right up here on front of Town Hall, and we'll let the traffic pass. We got any World War II vets out there? Korean vets. Right there in the front. Have your picture taken. Okay, Vietnam. Grenada, Panama, Gulf. Now we'll throw Iraq and Afghanistan in there, so come on up.
On behalf of Bob Blair and myself, the committee for this event, we'd like to do some recognitions and some thank yous. So first we want to thank our sponsors, American Legion Post 47 under Commander Ron Turcott, VFW Post 8507 under Commander Dave DeGan, the Holliston Lions and Leos under President Mike McKenna. So thank you to all those sponsors. Of course, there's only one reason we're doing this, and that's because of all of you out there. So thank you to all of our Holliston veterans, those who are here and those who couldn't make it. Thank you. Thank you to Senate President Karen Spilka for being here. And Representative-elect James Arena DeRosa. Select Board Vice Chair John Cronin. Town Administrator Travis Ahern. Project 351 Ambassador Pranav Govindarajan. Thank you to TJ's Spirits for being our caterers again. Always a great job. Thank you to TC Scoops for supplying us with dessert. I know it's like the one time a year where you guys get out and your wife can't yell at you for having ice cream, so. Thank you to HCAT for their coverage. Thank you to Holliston Reporter for their coverage. Thank you to Jackie Napolitano for helping us with the envelopes and invitations. And a special thanks to the Legion Adjutant and Finance Officer Walter McGrath for his support of Bobby and I. We couldn't do what we do without him. Now we're going to have a few welcome remarks from the town, as from Vice Chair John Cronin.
Thank you, Steve. Thanks. Good morning, everybody. On behalf of my colleagues Ben Sparrow and Tina Hine, welcome and thank you for joining us today. Before we get going, I want to award a relatively late birthday gift to, if he's here, a Marine who lost his ring on the way in. I believe the Marine Corps had a birthday yesterday, so if you're here and you're missing a ring, come join Steve. He'll be happy to get that to you. Here you go, Steve. Very briefly, I just wanted to recognize that on this 11th day of the 11th month, we just passed a momentous moment in our history. 104 years ago, the Great War ended. In a few years, a couple of years, Holliston will recognize its own 300th birthday. There are a lot of milestones in our great nation's history that are made possible by folks like you that have served and have given the full commitment of time away from your families. For those that are here, I humbly want to thank you for your service. It's important that we recognize you annually because many of you did so under circumstances that were very difficult. So this afternoon, I wish to thank you very, very profoundly and sincerely for your service. And with that, I would like to turn it over at this point to Senator Spilka for remarks. Thank you very much.
Good morning. I think some need a little more coffee. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I want to thank especially Steve Bradford and Bobby Blair and the American Legion for doing this not only today but every year. You guys deserve a round of applause. And I want to thank Vice Chair of the Select Board, John Cronin, for his service, and Ben and Tina's also for all that they do for this great town of Holliston. I'd like to acknowledge the public safety leaders here and Representative-elect James Arena DeRosa. It'll be great to have him in the State House, and looking forward to being a tag team to help Holliston achieve all that it wants to achieve. I'd like to thank, especially start out by thanking those among us who raised their hand to serve our country as veterans, service members, and reservists. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts for your service. Like so many, I am really inspired but also humbled by the examples of the so many who fought and who risked their lives to protect our freedoms. I saw the commitment this involved from an early age. My father was a veteran of World War II. He was there in the Battle of the Bulge, and he helped to liberate the concentration camp Buchenwald. And he carried that experience with him his whole life. This was a life-changing, world-changing event, which I know, as hard as it was, he was really proud to be a part of. All veterans and their families who have been affected by service have stepped up to make unfathomable choices and sacrifices. Their names, their stories, and their legacies deserve to be remembered as a point to reflect upon and part of our so critical shared history, which is why I was really glad to work with prior Representative Dykema to support the construction and help provide some funding for the beautiful memorial, recognizing our newest veterans that you were at and those who served in Afghanistan and Iraq, and helped to make sure that your vision came through. And so I want to thank you for ensuring that that will serve as a memorial to all those who stood before us. But our commitment to veterans, I really feel, must continue to be broader than remembering who they were and what they did. Veterans Day is a different type of holiday than, say, Memorial Day, because veterans, as you all are living among us, as our friends, our neighbors, our loved ones, I believe we owe all of you and all of our veterans a continuing debt of appreciation and the same support and we show to all in our community, but especially for you who have been through so much. Veterans deserve equality and equal physical and mental health care. This year, I'm very proud that the state legislature in Massachusetts passed laws to increase a lot of access to long-term care services for veterans across our state, including regions like Metro West. We increased funding for long-term care facilities, overhauled the soldiers' homes. We also supported veterans who have been exposed to burn pits, including by offering regular health assessments for the first time to current and former members of the Mass National Guard and Armed Forces and others. We also made it a lot easier for active duty members of the military that are stationed overseas to vote, because it's so important that overseas service members participate in the election process. And we made it easier for families of veterans to relocate and start work or school here when their loved ones are stationed in Massachusetts. We extended benefits to LGBTQ members of the military who were unfairly forced out during the Don't Ask, Don't Tell time period. And we are taking steps to ensure that veterans services, which were not designed for women, we are trying to make sure that they reflect women's needs as well, so that no female veterans fall through the cracks. As a state, Massachusetts, I believe, and as Senate President, I promise you, we will continue to prioritize veterans services. I am really proud that Massachusetts is known among all the states to be #1 in the provision of veteran services, but I know it still is not enough. So we need to make sure that the veterans who are here in Massachusetts are able to live fulfilling lives, return here living fulfilling lives, and knowing that we are so grateful for your service. So I ask if there are any other issues that you feel that the Mass Legislature could help make a difference for you and your families, please let us know, please. I hope you are able to take part and enjoy the dinner today. And again, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for your service.
We'd now invite Representative-elect James Arena DeRosa to come up and say a few words about how he's going to follow in the tough footsteps of one of the main advocates in the House of Representatives, Carolyn Dykema. No pressure, James.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, great. No, thanks so much. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Bobby. It is such an honor to stand before all of you. Thank you for your service. Thank you to your families and the stress and the challenges that they faced. I come from a family, not immediate family, but family members. Someone was missing in action, and it stayed with them for years and years and years. It was resolved okay, but they remember those things, so it'd be good to your families, too. I pledged to run to be a voice for everyone, and as was mentioned by Senator Spilka, it's great to see you here. You know, one of the most important things is how can we be helpful? And I already promised Ron and some others we're going to do a coffee at the Senior Center and listen to veterans' issues. And we were actually talking about this on the way up to Town Hall as we were walking along the route. And the question that I always ask is it policies that need to be changed, or is it individual services, or is it some combination? And as Steve mentioned, Carolyn Dykema was beloved by the veterans, and I know she worked on that, but I think she was successful because she listened to you when you brought issues to her attention all along the way. So it's wonderful to be with you. It is an honor to be elected to serve as your representative. I look forward to working with all of you in the months and years ahead. Thank you very, very much.
Is that working? Yeah, recently during the last year, myself, town historian Joanne Halbert, and Mary Greendale have been trying to put together a book for the 300th, and it's just not the three of us writing, although it's tough to get people to write. And I think I've told the story before about Staples Chamberlain, and he's buried up on Gowen Drive at Patty Lincoln's cemetery. Staples Chamberlain was the town moderator here during the Revolution. The man not only went from here to Roxbury in April 1776, he went on a foray up to Ticonderoga. He went down to the coast of Rhode Island when the British were going to invade. And all I can think about, and he's sitting up there with just a stone. His brother's buried right behind him. And it was said his brother was a Tory sympathizer. But he, when the state required each city and town in Massachusetts to supply their own men in the Continental Army with socks and breeches and whatnot. They left it up to Staples Chamberlain. So at the end of January, he got on his buckboard and a horse with supplies for Holliston men. And all I can think of is, here it is, the middle of winter. There's no Days Inn out there. There's no McDonald's to stop in. He had to find shelter along his way. There was no heater on the buckboard. He made it out to Albany, where he left supplies. And then he went from there down to Valley Forge and left off the rest of the supplies. And he made it back to Holliston in March in time to moderate town meeting. I don't know about you. That guy is a hero. In anybody's thing. So what we're trying to do with this book is we're going to try to get people like yourselves to write something. For those of us of Vietnam age, write what it felt like coming back home. I know myself, when I came back in, I went to the State House for the tea there, and I came out to Newton Wellesley Hospital on the Green Line, and I got out, and I was thumbing, and no one would pick me up. 2 hours went by, and all of a sudden a bus came out of nowhere, and it said, Framingham. I says, okay. I jumped on that bus and thumbed home from downtown Framingham. No one would still pick me up, and a convertible came by, and it was my cousin. I jumped in, and he says, where you been? I says, Vietnam. He says, did you kill anyone? I says, wow, welcome home, So it's stories like that we're looking for. There'll not only be a book, but there'll be a website, hopefully, to preserve some of these things. So if you have a story, and if you don't know how to write, I'll come over your house and I'll write it myself, okay? So, thank you.
The Holliston Knights have a presentation that they want to make.
Those of you who know me, I'm an officer with the Knights of Columbus in Holliston, and also a veteran. And I thank all of you for your service. Every year, we have a raffle and other things that we do to get make money for not only the town, but also for veterans. For the past 13 years, we've given away $285,000, and 20% of that is for veterans. And today, I have to present a check to Tunnels for Towers and also Homes for the Troops. And each will give a scenario of what they do. Here's your check. This is a check for Christian for Tunnels for Towers.
Hi, my name's Chrissy Knowlton, and I'm an ambassador for Tunnels to Towers Foundation. And I just want to thank you folks for inviting me in to represent Tunnels to Towers. I just want to let you know a little bit about the foundation. And firefighter Stephen Siller comes from a family of 7 children. He was born to May and George Siller. At 8 years old, he lost his father. A year and a half later, he lost his mother to cancer. So by the age of 10, he was orphaned, but thankfully his 6 siblings were able to raise him. He went through some struggles, but he did grow up to be a wonderful individual and a very dedicated firefighter. On 9/11, he was he was on Brooklyn Squad 1 Special Operations Unit, just got off shift, and was going to meet 3 of his brothers to play golf. And on the scanner, he heard that a plane had hit the North Tower of the World Trade Center. So he called his wife Sally and asked her to contact his brothers that he would catch up with them later. He went back to Squad 1 to get his gear and headed to the Brooklyn Battery Tower, which was already closed due to safety precautions. He strapped 60 pounds of gear on his back and ran through the tunnel, which is about 1.7 miles. Met his squad at the World Trade Center, where he lost his life saving others. I just have a little cheat sheet. So Stephen had everything to live for: great wife, 5 young children, ages 9 months to 9 years old. He had a very devoted family, great friends. Stephen's parents were lay Franciscans, and he grew up under the guided philosophy of St. Francis of Assisi, and that was who encouraged an inspirational phrase: while we are here, or while we have time, let us do good. And these were the words Stephen lived by. And Stephen's life and death served as a reminder all to live life to the fullest and spend our time on this earth doing good. And this was his legacy. And Stephen's surviving siblings were determined not to let his life and sacrifice be forgotten, so they vowed to do good in his honor. They immediately following 9/11 decided to start a foundation, and that's when they put together the Tunnels to Towers Foundation. They started from very meager beginnings, and it was just the family-run business, which has grown into a nationally founded organization that has been running for 20 years now, honoring our nation's greatest heroes. The motto is St. Francis Assisi: while we have time, let us do good. And remember that when you leave this world, you can take with you nothing that you have received, only what you have given. And so that is just a little bit about our foundation. And quickly, just a few of our programs that we have. We have in the line of duty programs, a smart home program, in the line of duty program, and a Gold Star family program. Those are catastrophic injuries, and the foundation will build a smart home and mortgage-free for the families with small children. In the line of duty for the fallen first responder, which I fell into that category since my husband died in the line of duty as a firefighter. My daughters and my mortgage was paid off, and they continue to give support. And the Gold Star families, their mortgages are paid off also. And the foundation just supports you in any way they can. They're now trying to eradicate homelessness for veterans. They have 500 houses that are going to be given, and the list goes on and on. So I just wanted to share that. And thank you so very much for your donation today. It's very generous, and it will help immensely.
Next is Bill Seymour. He's the operations manager for Homes for the Troops. And we have a check for him also.
Good morning, good afternoon. I'm not sure where the clock falls quite yet. And also like to express a happy birthday to our Marine Corps veterans. I'm Bill Seymour. I'm the Construction Operations Manager for Homes for Our Troops here in Massachusetts. I'm also a 26-year Army veteran, and I can't think of a better way to spend Veterans Day than to be surrounded by colleagues. Thank you all so much for your service. The mission of Homes for Our Troops is laser focused. It is to build fully adaptable, fully adapted, mortgage-free homes on a parcel of land selected by a seriously wounded combat veteran from the War on Terror, and to help them rebuild their lives. That's what we do. When I say fully adapted, these are 3,000 square foot homes, all on one level. There are no thresholds, the counters are and again, they're adapted per the needs of the individual home recipient, but counters are typically down. Upper counters typically pull down and retract. The plugs are higher, the switches are lower, the doorways are wider, the hallways are wider. There's two-car garage, there's backup generators, there's a safety room in case of violent storms. They are magnificent, magnificent homes. We had a great week at Homes for Our Troops this week. I went to North Carolina last week and presented a home. I used to say we gifted a home. These aren't gifts, they're partial payments of a national debt to these seriously, seriously wounded veterans. I want to tell you about the one that we presented last weekend. A veteran by the name of Jeremy Young, a Marine, serving in Afghanistan, was on a forward operating base, had no ballistic armor on. They were inside the wire. They had an embedded Afghan soldier as part of their platoon, and he turned, and he grabbed an assault rifle, and he brought his platoon under fire. Jeremy went to the gun. He took 16 rounds from a high-powered assault rifle and survived. He survived because he had trained his platoon in their combat life-saving skills. He was a medic. He lost both legs, lost an arm, has traumatic brain injury, has a colostomy, and with medical assistance, 6 months ago gave birth to their first child. We're helping Jeremy rebuild his life in a major league way. And I tell his story because he's not the exception. He's typical of the veterans that this organization serves. Last night at Gillette Stadium, I had the pleasure of welcoming 8 more veterans into our program and guaranteed them that within the next 24 months, we were going to build them an adaptive home at a location of their choosing. Lots of tears. Financially, it's a game changer. In terms of rebuilding lives and building families and building careers and taking the burden off of the spouses, I think it was your town manager spoke to the burden that families bear. Boy, do they bear that burden in spades in the case of a severely injured combat veteran. That's what we do. What can you do for us? First of all, thank you tons for the $2,500 check. We are not government funded in any way. All of our funding comes from folks like you and corporate partners and some foundations, but it is you that makes the difference. But more than that, you can tell our story. 90 cents on every dollar that we receive is spent on building a home for a soldier. We are an A+ rated Charity Navigator Veterans Charity, and because of that, you don't see us on CNN, you don't see us on Fox News that much. We spend our money on our homes. What you can do is get our message out. I'm going to ask you to remember 4 letters and Google them when you go home. HFOT, Homes for Our Troops. If you Google HFOT, you can find the story of all of the 347 veterans for whom we've built fully adapted homes in 42 different states. Thank you tons for your support. Thank you tons for your service. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Ron Turcott, the newly elected Legion Commander, taking over from Commander Steve Bradford, who held down the fort for 7 years. 7 years. Thank you, Stephen. I think that record will stand. I'd like to introduce a very dynamic young person who has put together a tribute to veterans He is involved with an organization called the Project 351. Is that better? Sorry. He's involved with the Project 351. He is here with his parents, and I'd like him to come forward. He'd like to say a few words. Prabhupada?
Good morning, everyone. Happy Veterans Day. First and foremost, thank you to each of you and your families for your bravery, service, sacrifices, and compassion. My name is Pranav Govindarajan. I'm a junior at the Noble and Greeno School. I've been a Holliston resident for the past 12 years, and I'm extremely grateful to my family, my teachers, mentors, and Project 351 for shaping me into the person I am today, for believing in me, and for giving me many opportunities to serve our local communities. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the American Legion Post 47, past American Legion Commander Steve Bradford and Mr. Steve Napolitano, and Commander Ron Turcott for giving me the opportunity to be part of this event. You've always supported and encouraged me. With your incredible support and guidance through many years, I've led multiple service projects in our town, including delivering the Governor's Proclamation at the 2021 Memorial Day service, 9/11 tribute service at our American Legion Awards ceremony, clothing drives, and food drives to support our pantry shelf. Thank you so much for inviting my family and my Project 351 teammates to this gathering, Mr. Turcott. We are honored and humbled to be here today. You put your lives on the line to protect our lives, families, freedom, and country. We are forever indebted to you and your families for your sacrifices and courage. Thank you. It is an honor to be a part of this community where veterans are appreciated and celebrated. To give a brief introduction about Project 351, it is a movement of youth-led service that transforms communities, elevates kindness, and advances opportunity by investing in the courage, compassion, and unlimited capabilities of 8th grade unsung heroes and quiet leaders. 8th grade students from each of the 351 cities and towns in Massachusetts are nominated by their teachers to be ambassadors representing their town. I was the ambassador representing Holliston in 2020. Now, I'm a Project 351 regional leader and part of the Alumni Leadership Council, mentoring close to 60 ambassadors and alumni from different cities and towns. I'm happy to have Jay Patel, the current ambassador of Holliston, here with me today. I'm grateful for the incredible support and dedication of each and every single one of my teammates. My service experiences have taught me that through team effort, we can make a positive impact on a much larger community, and that it is our duty to step up, unite, act, and lead. Last year, after meeting Parade Marshal Charlie Nickerson, a member of the Greatest Generation at our Memorial Day event, I felt the urge to interview him, learn about his World War II experiences, and hear about Doomsday. I reached out to him and requested a few minutes of his time. Being the kind person that he is, he invited my family to his home. He talked to us for a couple of hours. I will never forget that day. When we left, he shared with us a journal he had handwritten the morning after his trip to Washington, D.C., to view the World War II memorial with a group of fellow veterans. Honor Flight New England had arranged it. Grand Marshal Nickerson gives a very detailed description of the trip and how Mr. Joe Byron, the founder of the New England chapter, had arranged everything in clockwise precision. For each vet, there was one guardian. On that flight, there were 62 veterans and 62 guardians. Many veterans were in wheelchairs. Some with walkers, many canes, and the rest able to navigate. I'm going to read an excerpt from the journal for you. In Grand Marshal Charlie Nickerson's words, "To the buses, 3 of them packed, including 62 wheelchairs, 1 for each vet if needed. We had about a half mile to our terminal. The boys in blue handled that. Our tax dollars were well spent that morning. Blue lights and sirens in front and back of the convoy. Every intersection was blocked by a cruiser, 6 or 8 in all. We felt like dignitaries. I hope no one missed their plane because of us." Now, the story gets a bit hard to imagine. It's actually difficult to write about. I get a lump in my throat and a wonderful feeling in my heart when I write these words, even so many hours later. Remember, it's only 6:30 a.m. when we reached our terminal. On the sidewalk are a group of firefighters in full gear, waiting to shake our hands and thank us for our service. There were dozens of police officers there also, many from surrounding towns. Inside the terminal, a double line of people, 40 or more feet long, clapping, smiling, and each thanking us for our service, wishing us a wonderful day. A couple of honor guards spaced appropriately in the line, spotless uniforms, standing ramrod straight, at attention. These wonderful folks shake our hands, give genuine hugs, and seem to understand the tears of joy that can no longer be controlled. I don't cry easy, but that tumultuous welcome did me in then, and still does now, as I write these words. I was touched reading Graham Marshall Nickerson's words. How do I express my heartfelt gratitude? How can I get our community to express their gratitude for our heroes? Just then, it occurred to me. On Veterans Day, what could be more appropriate than to express gratitude for your service and sacrifices? I decided to create a CUDA board, which is an online tool to gather as a group and share messages of gratitude and appreciation. Think of it as the greeting card that gets passed around and signed. I reached out to my Project 351 regional team, school, and friends from local communities and requested their support. As always, they were happy to help. Thank you for your dedication and service, Region 8. Thank you to everyone who posted on the CUDA board. Now, along with my teammate, I'm pleased to present you with messages of immense gratitude and appreciation for you and your families from members of our local communities. Thank you.
Okay, well, that's being set up. Commander Turcotte's going to say grace, and then we'll get up in line for the food.
Amen, brother. Bless, O Lord, this food to our use and us to your service, and keep us ever mindful of the needs of others. Amen. Amen.
All right, in a somewhat orderly fashion, start with the table that's closest there and work down. And if I just try to behave in line. Sarge, keep them in line. All right. Enjoy your meal.
So a little bit of description about the video. It's a CUDA board, which is a website where people can add different messages of gratitude for anybody they want. And in this specific scenario, I thought it'd be a great idea for us to be able to create a CUDA board for gratitude for our veterans. So this CUDA board, I invited all of my friends, the rest of Project 351, my teachers, to all add messages of gratitude to the CUDA board, and we were able to broadcast all the messages today during the Veterans Day event, so it was really great.